that's nice. Hey, yeah, it's the IDP show. Now you know.
Welcome to the IDP show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Sode Shack tonight. On my right, Adam Markham. Addy, how are you, hon?
Doing good, Joshy. How are you, baby?
We're watching a little Monday Night Football here in the Sode Shack. It's 17-13. Raiders are up on the Packers. It's the fourth quarter, so another kind of Monday night stinker, but at least we got a close one this time.
We've had some big injuries. Quay Walker left this one with a knee injury, so
he did.
We'll have to see what that's all about. Hopefully it's not anything too serious, but Max Crosby's been awesome. He's added another X to his first name.
Yeah,
so.
it's not going to fit all on one line on the dock anymore. It's going to have to wrap down to the next line.
There's 8 X's now.
Yes, it really is. We're adding one for every sack. So yeah, brutal week 2 on the offensive injuries with our beloved Anthony Richardson going down with a grade 3 AC joint sprain. So
man.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to be out to about week 12. I think they're going to, from what I'm understanding, probably keep him out through the bye.
3-2 though.
3-2. Gardner Minshew's pretty
good.
Yeah,
And the schedule's pretty soft coming up.
Yep.
So you never know.
Titans stink, so that helps.
Yeah.
Jaguars are hit or miss.
They're fun.
Texans are hit or miss. So, yeah, I think it's we could still be in the mix for the division when he comes back. But love A-Rich. He's just got to learn to protect himself.
Yeah, it's been like every single game that he's left.
I don't think he's finished a game yet.
Yeah.
So, just
he'll get there.
Get better soon, Anthony. We love watching you play football. You're an exciting young rookie, but this is the NFL. You've got to learn to take care of yourself. These guys are also very big and very fast and very strong.
That is a shame. He was looking like league winner for sure at quarterback.
Truly. So, but we're glad you guys are here. It is the Week 5 recap. Addie and I are going to go through game by game, giving you storylines, giving you the top scores, and just kind of filling you in on the week that happened in IDP. Before we jump into it, though, Addie, Aaron has this great chart at the top of the dock. It is tracking greatness. Players who have scored more than 40 points in a single game. We got to add one player to that list in Week 5. It was A.J. Epinesa, edge for the Buffalo Bills, in the game against the Jags, going for 41.8 points. So I believe they called this out on the preview pod as a great matchup for defensive tackles, not necessarily edge rushers, but A.J. Epinesa getting it done. Welcome to the Tracking Greatness spreadsheet, Mr. Epinesa.
He's been really good. He's had another huge game this year already. So, I mean, yeah, two so far. I mean, what did the snaps look like for him down the stretch with Von Miller coming back? Probably not great. But, yeah, I mean, matchup dependent. I think you can plug this guy in, and maybe cross your fingers and get a sack or two. But, yeah, monster game. 41 points.
41 points, 67% of snaps. So, yeah, what does that look like with Von Miller getting worked back in a little bit? We'll get to that game here in just a bit. But let's jump in with Thursday Night Football. We're actually going to go back in time to start the recap with the Thursday night game, which was a really wacky game. Bears get the 40-20 win over the Commanders. I mean, weird things happen on Thursday Night Football, Addy. And the Bears beating the Commanders by 20 points, I think definitely qualifies as wacky. On the Bears side of things, DeMarcus Walker, 20.1 points. He had 2 TFLs and a sack. TJ Edwards, also worth mentioning, 17.5. He's been great. 15 points per game the first 4 weeks, 100% of snaps. Unique Ngakoue got himself a sack and a TFL as well. And on the Commander side, this was the narrative going into the game. Start your Washington defensive line against Justin Fields and the Bears. Now, usually that comes with calamity for the Bears and them getting their doors blown off. They get the impressive win, but Fields was still taking sacks, and Montez Sweat was the main beneficiary. 1.5 sacks, 1 PD, 2 QB hits, a TFL, 6 tackles on 75% of snaps. Montez went for 25.4 points. Jonathan Allen right behind him, 18.75, got a sack as well as a TFL and 2 QB hits. Chase Young, we're just going right down the list, folks. 14.5 points, a half a sack, a PD, 3 QB hits, and 2 tackles on 89% of snaps. And then Deron Payne wraps us up here, 22.75 points. He has a 14.1 points per game average the first 4 weeks, 91% of snaps, a forced fumble, 2 QB hits, 5 tackles. Addy, where do you want to start from this game? Some nice IDP output.
Let's start with Chase Young. We got to give this guy some love here. Among edge rushers, his 22.8% pass rush win rate ranks 9th. His 82.7 pass rush grade ranks 13th. He is averaging 5.8 pressures per game. That is tied for 3rd most in the NFL. Aiden Hutchinson is 1st. He's averaging 7 per game. Max Crosby is 2nd with 6.8, although that may change.
I was going to say, this game may put Max at number 1.
Yeah, so he's tied with Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. So pretty decent company
That's
there.
some very good company.
Yeah, so, I mean, Chase Young, he's looking great. He's being productive for us. He's playing a lot of snaps. So this is good stuff. That defensive line is great. Montez Sweat is balling.
Montez Sweat wants to get paid.
Yeah, he's going to get paid.
He is.
He's got, this is 4 sacks, I believe, for him?
I think
4.5?
so, yeah.
So he's crushing it. But, yeah, I mean, I expect this to kind of continue. I mean, everyone's actually healthy now.
Yep.
And everyone's kind of in their prime. You know,
this is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, all these guys, I mean, really, they you know, they're all at, like, their peak age. Chase Young probably still has a little bit.
Some peak left.
Yeah, some ceiling. But, yeah, I mean, fun defense, dude.
Very fun defense. Great defensive line. Where does Chase Young sit now in the Edge Dynasty rankings?
He's climbing. He's definitely climbing.
He should be. He's, I think, one of the big winners for Dynasty DL this season so far.
Yeah, if he gets hurt, though, that will not be good.
That would not be good.
But, yeah, let's see where I got him over here. He is all the way up to Edge 20, but that may be too low. I'll probably continue to bump him up.
Okay, give us
every single week. I mean,
who's he in there with? I think that's always helpful. It's like, well, he should be top 15, but then you look at the top 15, you're like, well, maybe not.
I've got him right behind Danielle Hunter.
Okay.
He is in front of Tyree Wilson, Joey Bosa, Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, that feels right. Who's ahead of Danielle Hunter right now?
Let's see.
So Hunter's what, 19?
Josh Sweat.
Okay.
Trayvon Walker, Kwity Paye, Greg Rousseau, Uchenna, Montez Sweat.
I think
There's going to be some updating to these.
I think you could reasonably probably jump Chase Young ahead of at least a few of those guys you mentioned.
I think so, too, yeah.
Yeah, I still like Danielle Hunter. He's like sneaky younger than you think because he's only like...
He's 29.
20, okay.
But, I mean, he's, you know, I think he's going to be fine until he's like 32, 33.
Yeah. And then you mentioned Kwity Paye. That's a fun, you know, either or right there. Gregory Rousseau, another really good either or.
I think I'd rather have Chase Young, though, honestly.
I think I would, too.
Yeah.
This year Chase Young is making a believer with his play on the field because it's not just the production. You look at, like you said, the underlying metrics, very impressive as well. So let's move, though, to the next game.
Derek Forrest got hurt.
Yes, he's on IR.
So that stinks.
That does stink. Let's move to the next game. It is the London game, and the Jags got the 25-20 win over the Bills. We mentioned A.J. Epinesa, 41.8 points. He had 4 tackles, a TFL, 2 sacks, 18 sack yards, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 3 PDs, 2 QB hits, 67% of snaps, 85.7 PFF grade. Ed Oliver in the notes from Aaron. Take that, Jace, with a sack, 3 TFLs, 9 tackles, 5 sack yards, a forced fumble, and 2 QB hits, 31.75 points. The 2023 defensive tackle number 1 continues to do the damn thing. Leonard Floyd, though, this was a game where the defensive line was just feasting. 21.9 points, 2 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 QB hits on 52% of snaps. How does he get impacted by Von Miller's return? That remains to be seen. Addy, the big news out of this game, though, Matt Milano out for the rest of the season, it seems like, with a fractured leg and a potentially serious knee injury. So this is just the worst case scenario for Matt Milano, managers, and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, very brutal. It seemed like Dorian Williams was going to be the next man up, and he was. He came in immediately for Matt Milano in that first quarter. But then they started sprinkling in a lot of Tyrell Dodson. So I don't really know that you want to go too crazy with the fab on either of these guys because it might, it might take a few weeks to really shake itself out. But
it is interesting they went to Dorian first.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think it's going to be Tyrell Dodson.
For a little bit.
I think so. I think they're going to maybe work Dorian Williams in. And we've said all along, I have at least, I think by the end of the season, I think it will be Dorian Williams that will be the guy alongside. We thought it was going to be Matt Milano, but now it's going to be alongside Terrell Bernard.
Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah, 16 points, 16 total tackles from Terrell Bernard. Tyrell Dotson was good as well, 17.75 points. He had 5 tackles, a TFL, a fumble recovery, a PD, and a QB hit. And then, Bernard played 100% of snaps. Dotson was at 62%. So if you want to go out and drop a little fab on the Bills' Matt Milano replacement, you dropping it on Dotson for the short term or Dorian for maybe the long term?
That's tough. Yeah, I mean, I may just take a shot on Dorian for the long term.
I think Dorian will be cheaper because I think
Right.
the consensus is going to be that it's Dotson that's the guy right now.
And how much is he going to really move the needle for me week to week? Am I going to feel comfortable starting him
Probably not.
next week? Probably not.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm in a better situation than that. But yeah, I think Dorian Williams has that upside, that could carry us down, in the playoff run. So I guess Tyrell Dawson has that same upside too if he does get the job. I don't know. That's a tough situation.
It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. My Madness squad needs Dorian Williams to come through. We need him to come through. Dorian, you and Dayon Henley really need to step it up for the Madness squad.
That was like my worst best ball that I did.
I think it was mine too.
I'm just hammered with injuries in there.
Yep. I've got Devondre Campbell's out. The rookies have not been playing. I've got some DBs on IR. It's been a rough start. But yeah, on the Jag side, we should mention this was a low-scoring output from them. Darius Williams had a pick. He was their leading scorer. And then Rayshon Jenkins was 12 points. Foyce Aluakun, only 9.75 points, 7 tackles, 1 QB hit. 100% of snaps, though. Don't panic. Trayvon Walker was number 5, a tackle, a fumble recovery, a QB hit.
Josh Allen.
Yeah,
1.5.
Here we go. Another big stinker. What did we say on the show last week?
Yeah. Now, he did have that sack that he hit the helmet of Trevor Lawrence.
So lame.
Helmet to helmet.
Yep.
And they called that, so he
do
you
mean Josh Allen?
Yes.
I was like, if he's hitting the helmet of his own quarterback, that would be a tragedy.
Yeah, so that was unfortunate, but he's fine. I mean, he's not coming out of your lineup just because we know that upside. We've already seen it twice. But this is what you got to deal with.
Yes. Hopefully you have another guy at your DN1 spot that's a little more stable week to week, because this kind of volatility, I would not want to be rolling out like 2 Josh Allen types every week, because you could get 60 points or you could get 6.
Yeah.
And that's very frustrating. Let's move to Dolphins, Giants. Leading scorer from the Dolphins was Zach Sealer. Look at Zach Sealer, 34.15 points, 7 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, 9 sack yards, 3 QB hits. This was definitely out of the norm, 7.26 points per game the first 4 weeks. Jerome Baker, back in action, has been very quiet this year, 6.38 points per game average, 19.5 though, 8 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 QB hits, 100% of snaps. Eli Apple was next up, 19.25. Then Andrew Van Ginkel, once again, getting it done as much as we hate it. 18.45 points. He's been averaging 18.54 points the first 4 weeks. 3 tackles, a TFL, a sack, 7 sack yards, 1 PD, 1 QB hit, 82% of snaps. David Long, 92% of snaps, 9 tackles, 1 TFL, a forced fumble. Dude's a playmaker, 80.7 defensive grade, 90.8 run defense grade. Eddie, what was going on with Jalen Phillips? We see Van Ginkel working his magic again. Was Jalen Phillips in this game much at all?
No, he missed this one. It seemed like he was going to play. Like that was all the chatter.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to catch up on this one yet. I was curious if he actually suited up or not.
No, he was out. I missed that before kickoff, and I left him in the lineup in one of my leagues. So.
The old London games are hard.
Yeah, well,
no, that wasn't the London game.
Yeah, no excuse.
It's just a normal game. Hey,
Yeah.
you have no excuse.
Yeah.
I was trying to help you out there.
I'm in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of leagues, a lot of regrets.
I was thinking like, obviously we're ballers on this podcast and everything, but boy, when it comes to like management and some of these leagues that I'm in, it's not the best. I could be much. I bit off a little more than I can chew when it comes to managing these dynasty leagues.
Yeah,
I'm in about like 20. It's just way too much. Way too much. And when you include IDP, like I'm having to like adjust, There's way too many,
like
way too many people to
700
adjust.
roster
Yeah.
positions every single week.
Yeah, and these are deep-ass starting lineups. It's like, good Lord, what have I done?
What have I done?
So I've got it, like, really, the way I prioritize now is, like, I just go, I hit the leagues that have money involved first.
Yep, absolutely.
Which is, I think that's how most people probably do it. But, I mean, I do neglect, like, the ones that aren't for much Skrilla. You know?
Yeah, sorry, non-Skrilla leagues.
Yeah, it's just...
We're just not coming through.
Yeah, we're going to do our best, you know. We're still going to give it our
like a C-plus effort most weeks, maybe.
definitely not our all.
Not our all. The old college try, which, you know,
Sure.
depending on which college you went to, may not be much of an effort at all.
Tough. It's tough.
Let's move to the Giants side of things. Jason Pinnock, man, what a great game for Mr. Pinnock. 35.2 points. Been a little quiet, 9.88 points per game average, but had 4 tackles, an INT, forced fumble, 102 return yards on a pick 6. Will definitely help you score 35.2 points in our scoring. Bobby Okereke continues to be pretty solid. He's had his 2 best weeks now back-to-back. 24.2 points, 10 tackles, an INT, 2 PDs, 7 return yards, 100% of snaps. Xavier McKinney, a lot of recognizable names in this list, Addy. You love to see it. 17.5 points, 100% of snaps, 8 tackles, a forced fumble, a PD. And Kayvon Thibodeau at number 4, 15.6 points, 11.61 average the first 4 weeks. Had a TFL, 2 tackles, a sack, a fumble recovery, and a QB hit, 93% of snaps. And what are we doing with number 5 here, Addy? Isaiah Simmons, 13.75 points, 9 tackles, and here's the important number, 100% of snaps. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Micah McFadden out of this game?
That's the more important thing. Yeah,
Let's get down to the heart of it.
No Micah McFadden. Now, Isaiah Simmons had seen his snaps increase a little bit every single week, and so was his production as well, followed. But still wasn't anywhere near a level where we'd feel comfortable starting him. And, yeah, I mean, if Micah McFadden's out, I think you can plug in Isaiah Simmons. But if he's going to be playing, no, you can't.
No, it's McFadden and Okereke.
Yeah.
This was just injury, kind of like Van Ginkel, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Phillips is out. Van Ginkel is valuable. If Jalen Phillips is back in, Van Ginkel becomes much less valuable, just like Isaiah Simmons.
Good to see, though. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
he's productive with his opportunity. I mean, if he were to get an extended look, if something were to happen to Micah McFadden or Bobby O, I mean, I think you could feel pretty confident getting, you know, the chance to roll him out. So just something to monitor.
Yep, something to pay attention to. What does the health look like for McFadden? Because it seems like if he's out, Isaiah Simmons is the 1-for-1 replacement. So,
but a bad look for Isaiah Simmons as far as dynasty goes. You know, we thought that, you know, maybe him getting traded to this new team, it would mean a fresh start for him. You know, a chance for him to be, you know, if not the LB1, the LB2, and looks like he's going to be the LB3 there. So
yeah, behind Micah McFadden too. So
yeah, he was like what, a 4th or 5th round pick, I think. So
yeah, and Simmons was top 15, top
I think
16,
7 overall.
Oh, was he really that high?
Maybe not, but I feel like he was very high.
He was a first rounder. Yeah. So yeah, you're not starting Simmons, but if McFadden continues to miss time, then he's a decent play. Let's move to Colts Titans. Colts got the 23-16 victory. Even with Anthony Richardson going out, Gardner Minshew is that dude, one of the better backups in the league. I don't think he was high on gummies this time, so that definitely helps. Yeah. Julian Blackmon, the Colts IDPs were down because Julian Blackmon led the way with 16.75 points on 5 tackles. He had a pick, a PD, 10 return yards. He's been averaging 10.38. Pretty solid. 100% of snaps, 90.9 overall grade, 91.1 in coverage. So Blackmon has been very solid. Zaire Franklin, I mean, my God. I don't think he's LB1. I think I checked. And do you know who LB1 is? I checked like an hour or 2 ago.
As far as points?
As far as points go.
It's not Zaire?
It's not Zaire.
Huh.
It's a guy we've talked about recently and said that we need to give more love in Dynasty to.
I'm blanking.
It is Quincy Williams.
That's right.
LB1.
He is freaking out right now.
Dude, he's we'll get to it because my man has been in fuego these last couple games especially, but Zaire Franklin, for all intents and purposes, is the LB1 that you really do feel comfortable starting week in and week out. 16.5 points, 21.9, 1.4 points per game average. He had 12 tackles and a PD and met Derrick Henry in the hole on 4th down to stop the Titans' comeback in its tracks. The dude is wearing the captain's patch for a reason. He is electric. The story for the Colts, though, Addy, Shaq Leonard out of this game with a groin injury. EJ Speed comes in 98% of snaps, 10.75 points. I don't know that Shaq Leonard is getting this job back even when he is healthy.
The grades weren't very good for EJ.
They were not.
46 overall PFF, missed a lot of tackles, 29.9 tackle grade, 47.8 coverage grade. So that's unfortunate.
But it is interesting, though, isn't it, that they gave him 98% of snaps?
It is, yeah.
And only gave Shaq at the most. I mean, but looking at the average, his average on the season was probably like 70% of snaps.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not overly concerned with the grade stuff. I mean, because we've seen, like, just the eye test. Shaq Leonard looks slow.
He's cooked.
EJ Speed, I mean, kind of lives up to his last name. He's kind of like tall and lanky and like flies around.
Dude, yeah, him and Zaire together are so much fun.
So, and we know he's under contract next year. So, yeah, I mean, we've kind of hinted around at this, like, you know, since the season started, that EJ Speed was going to be the guy that takes over there eventually, you know, whether it be through injury or just Shaq being washed. And I think it's a little bit of both.
Yep, I think it is.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm still probably going to trot EJ Speed out there as like a linebacker 3-4 type. I mean,
so we got a question on YouTube. Keep firing up EJ Speed if Shaq Leonard is out?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
I think because you're going to get the Gus Bradley defense produces 2 IDP relevant linebackers. So it was Shaq Leonard and Bobby O. Then it was, you know, Bobby O and Zaire Franklin. Now it's Zaire Franklin and EJ Speed.
Yeah.
So this is just how that defense operates. Another guy who's been really solid thus far this season, Samson Ebukam, 10.75 points, averaging 12.82 through the first 4 weeks, 3 tackles, 1 sack, 5 sack yards, and a QB hit. And then Kenny Moore rounds out the list with 10.25. He had 11.19 points per game average going into this week. 9 tackles, 100% of snaps. Good to see Kenny Moore being relevant again, especially in those cornerback required leagues. But speaking of cornerback required leagues, the best IDP for the Titans was Roger McCreary, 22.2 points, averaging almost 11.5 points per game, weeks 1 through 3. I believe he missed a week in there. 2 solos, 2 assists, 2 TFLs, a sack, and 2 QB hits on 94% of snaps. I've got Roger McCreary in our main league, the XFFL, and I don't know that this guy's leaving my lineup anytime soon, Eddie.
No, he definitely shouldn't. I mean, the usage for him is really, really nice. He's playing 85% of his snaps out of the sweet spot, so he's primarily a slot.
Oh, that's
corner,
beautiful.
But also he gets some nice box snaps, too. He's played 2 on the defensive line. He's played 34 in the box, 1 at free safety, 216 in the slot, and 45 at corner. So, love that usage. Really nice when they sprinkle a little bit of box usage for these corners.
Yes. Well, you see here, I mean, 2 TFLs and a sack.
Yeah.
And 2 QB hits. I mean, this dude's getting some pass rush opportunities. So
we mentioned it a lot. I mean, and think about last week whenever Seattle, Devin Witherspoon went off.
People are going to actually be like, why can't I find this guy on waivers? Adam keeps saying with him spoon.
I mean,
it's Witherspoon, people, just so you know.
Once he got switched to the slot, man, I mean, that had to be one of the best games ever for a cornerback.
Maybe the best. I mean, 50 points.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't have like return yardage. Right?
Yes, right.
Because, yeah, I mean, it just blew up. But, I mean, we've talked about that a lot. The slot corners are what you want to target just because they're closer to the line of scrimmage. They're going to be the guys that are getting a lot of those tackles, making a lot of plays. Like, you'll see those nickel corners get a lot of blitz opportunities. So, same thing here with McCreary.
Yep. And then after McCreary, you see Azeez Al-Shaair, 14.75 points, averaging 15 through weeks 1 through 3, 100% of snaps here. 4 solos, 6 assists, a TFL, a sack. Christian Fulton was 3rd, Jack Gibbons was 4th, and Kevin Byard was 5th. So Azeez Al-Shaair, another one of these kind of LB2s that we had high hopes for coming into the season, and I think he's been pretty solid.
Yeah, I think he's definitely delivered.
Yep. So let's move to Texans. Falcons, though. Jalen Petrie, back in our lives, Addie, and it is so good to see him back because he went for 20.95 points, 8 solos, 6 assists, 3 sacks, 2 TFLs, 35 sack yards, 1 forced fumble, 3 QB hits on 100% of snaps, 78.1 PFF grade. Great to have Jalen Petrie back. He's immediately in like top 5 DB consideration now that he's back to 100% of snaps. Next up, though, Blake Cashman, 17.25 points on 96% of snaps. It was him and the next guy, Addie, Henry To'oTo'o, 12 points, 97% of snaps. Even with Denzel Perryman back, Cashman and To'oTo'o were the two guys. Now, I think they're going to ease Perryman back in slowly. Any concern at all, though, that it was Cashman and Henry T that were the two leading linebackers?
No, I think it's just, they're being cautious with him. He is 30.
He is older.
He's dealt with a lot of injuries his entire career, so I think they're just, being cautious.
Yeah, that makes sense. So next up here on the list, we have Will Anderson. Another great game from Will Anderson, 11.5 points, 1 solo, 3 assists, 1 TFL, 1 sack, 9 sack yards and a QB hit on 68% of snaps. And then Jimmy Ward was number 5 for the Texans. Let's talk Falcons, though. Down week for the Falcons IDPs. How do we know? Because Nate Ocean Man Landman, 8.75 points, was their number 2 scorer. D. Alford was number 1. He had a TFL, 2 PDs, and 6 tackles on 62% of snaps. Nate Landman, though, 100% of snaps. Jesse Bates was next, 7.75. Grady Jarrett, 7.5. And Lorenzo Carter, 7.5. So just a weird game for the Falcons where nobody wanted to score any kind of IDP points, apparently.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of people that are going to be starting Falcons.
Yeah.
It's just the linebackers and then the safeties.
Yeah, losing Troy Anderson, too. I talked about this with John. Like, I have a hard time transferring the excitement I had for, like, 10 RAS, freak of nature athlete Troy Anderson onto Nate Landman.
Yeah.
Good for you if you can do it. It just left me a little cold having to plug that guy in. Like, here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's 7 to 10 tackles, but it's yawn.
Yeah, doesn't get your blood pumping. Let's talk about Panthers. Panthers, Lions. Lions get the 42-24 victory over Carolina. This Lions team might be pretty good, Addy.
I like them.
I think you could make a case they're the 3rd best team in the NFC behind the 49ers and Eagles.
Yeah, I think so. Seahawks probably right in there too.
Yep.
But yeah, it's they're gonna be frisky.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of their IDPs. The Panthers, we'll start with them. Brian Burns, 19.5 points, 4 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and 3 QB hits on 77% of snaps. Continue to fire this guy up every week. Brian Burns is great. CJ Henderson was next, 19.05 points. He had 5 tackles, 2 TFLs, a sack, and a QB hit on 100% of snaps. There's Derek Brown, 9.5 points, 6 tackles, 2 QB hits. Sam Franklin, I know Evan and Jake talked about him on the preview podcast, 9.5 points on 8 tackles, 97% of snaps. And then Von Bell, 10.25 points, 100% of snaps for Mr. Bell. So, and then on the Lions side, who else would we be leading this off with than the guy who I think is putting himself into Defensive Player of the Year territory, Aiden Hutchinson, 27.75 points. He was averaging 18.41 points per game the first 4 weeks, 3 tackles, 2 TFLs, a pick, a sack, a PD, a QB hit, and then, 6 return yards on the pick and 4 sack yards to go along with that. 86% of snaps, 94.1 overall PFF grade. Did you see the great clip, Addie, that was I think I posted it in our IDP show Slack of him running. Someone said he was running like Waluigi, trying to get the sack on
Very animated, yes.
Yes, he gets the limbs a going.
Yeah.
I don't know if it helps him generate some propulsion or he's just trying to freak out the opposing quarterback.
I mean, it's got to be scary,
See that guy coming at you.
To begin with, having that dude across from you.
I'm like, yikes.
Did you see the celebration that he does now, the sack celebration?
So is it kind of like, it's a stanky leg, right? Is that what it
know.
is?
I don't know. It's something.
It kind of looks like a stanky leg to me.
Yeah. Some variation of stinky leg.
Yeah. I also thought kind of like, he famously did the Billie Jean song on Hard Knocks,
yeah,
right?
right.
So is this a Michael Jackson thing? Like,
Could be.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm not hip enough to know what this is, but
His pick was sick too, though. Did you see the one-handed?
Oh, it was a one-handed pick.
Yeah. And then he got. I thought he was like really hurt. He got. He was trying to return it back, and someone like cut him underneath the legs. So he's okay though. Clearly,
yeah, that's good. Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson has been
monster,
phenomenal this season.
I mean, where's he rank in Dynasty among the edge guys? I mean, would you rather have Aiden Hutchinson or Myles Garrett?
Boy,
Myles Garrett, I think, is 27, 28.
It's probably still Garrett, but the gap is closing. Someone was asking on the, I think it was the Week 5 preview with Jake and Evan, like trading T.J. Watt for Aiden Hutchinson, and I thought that's kind of an interesting trade, right?
Yeah, T.J. Watt's 29.
Yeah,
Aiden Hutchinson is 23.
Mm-hmm. They were asking if they had to add anything to the T.J. Watt side to go get Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting because at first blush I would say no. I think that's a pretty fair trade. I think you're going to get more output from TJ Watt this season.
And probably until his career's over.
Yeah, but Aiden Hutchinson obviously has a longer shelf life, we think, because he's so much younger.
And he should be, I mean, I don't think he's going to be TJ Watt. He's not going to be putting up, 60 burgers on the reg.
Probably not.
But he'll put up plenty of 40s.
I was going to say a lot of 30 and a lot of 40 burgers.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's a good trade. That's a fair trade.
I think so.
That's a great dynasty trade right there.
Yep. If you're a younger team and you're like, I've got TJ Watt on this team that's really not going anywhere, like let me ship this guy out and bring in a younger guy, I think that's a pretty fair trade.
I've got Aiden ahead of TJ Watt.
Do you?
Yeah.
Where is he now?
Aiden is edge 5.
Okay.
Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, and then Watt
and
right behind him.
Then Brian Burns.
Okay, at 6.
Will Anderson, and then TJ Watt.
Okay. I think there's maybe some upset Pittsburgh Steelers fans.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's dynasty, folks. It's dynasty.
Yeah. He's 29, and we do know the injury history with TJ Watt. I mean, this is great right now. We love this. We've been here before. It can all go wrong.
It can all. I've enjoyed having TJ Watt.
I hope it doesn't.
Lives.
He's awesome.
He's so good.
He's the best.
But you're just holding your breath every time that TJ Watt is out there. You're just waiting for the pec or the hammy or something to keep him out for a week or two. Next up, though, for the Lions, Will Harris, 19.55 points. Alex Anzalone, just 16.25 points. Yeah, start him. I hate saying it, but start him. Jerry Jacobs, 16.1 points. And then Aleem McNeil, defensive tackle, 72% of snaps, was 5th on the team. Speaking of TJ Watt, let's move to Ravens Steelers. Arthur Maulet. This is so funny because Evan talked about Maulet as a nice streaming option if you were in a CB required league. And here we are. Arthur Maulet, DB. Number 1 scorer for the Ravens, 20.05 points, a tackle, a TFL, a sack, 2 PDs, and a QB hit. Roquan Smith was number 2.
On just 35% of the snaps.
Yeah, on 35% of snaps, so just go figure.
Evan got bailed out there.
He really did. But hey, it all spins the same. That prediction's still cashed. Roquan Smith was next, 15 points. I was going to try to skip over that part.
I'm not.
Got to hold you accountable, Evan.
That's right.
15.75 points. Roquan averaging 19.61 points per game. The first 4 weeks, 100% of snaps. Dude's just amazing. 11 tackles and a PD. Brent Urban on 26% of snaps. Got him a sack, 15.6 points. Patrick Queen. I went and looked because, again, this was a few hours ago, so it hasn't adjusted for Monday Night Football yet. But Patrick Queen was LB7 on the season, Addy. 15.15 points, 17.68 points per game, 7 tackles, a half a sack, 1 PD, and 1 QB hit on 100% of snaps. I mean, top 12 LB the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Patrick Queen's been phenomenal.
Grades have been higher than they've ever been.
Yep, 75.7 overall, 79.6 pass rush. That's always been the best part of his game is his pass rush, but 73.2 in coverage. So Justin Matabuke, or I think as Johnny likes to call him, Justin Matabukake, at 10.15 points.
He's been good.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 73% of snaps, half a sack, 1 QB hit, 5 tackles. On the Steelers side, I mean, there he is. What would you expect?
Yep.
TJ Watt, 36.8 points. He's averaging 29.84 the first 4 weeks, so I guess that's going to tick up probably to about 32 points per game. 2 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 15 sack yards, 1 fumble recovery, 2 PDs, 2 QB hits, 18 fumble return yards, 86% of snaps. I mean, what else is there to say right now? Quan Alexander, though, adding on 44% of snaps, was the second leading scorer, 23.8 points, 6 tackles, 3 TFLs, a sack, and a QB hit. Cole Holcomb was next, 91% of snaps. It seems like Cole Holcomb might be starting to pull ahead a little bit in this 3-horse race.
I think so.
But do we like it, though? Because, I mean, Quan Alexander and Landon Roberts still getting some run, but do you have more confidence here? Cole Holcomb, 19.75 points. He's averaged about 11 points weeks 1 through 4. 91% of snaps this week. How are we feeling about Cole Holcomb right now?
Yeah, I mean, the 91% of snaps, I think, tells a lot. When you look at Quan Alexander, he had 44% this week. So, easily Cole Holcomb. He's also grading really well. So, we've always been a fan of Cole Holcomb on the show. Love the mullet.
I just want to see him run away with that job.
Yeah.
I want to see him be 100% of snaps. I just don't know if Pittsburgh's going to do that.
Yeah.
We'll see. Alex Highsmith, though, 11.8 points, 2 tackles, a sack, 8 sack yards, and a forced fumble. And then Joey Porter Jr., I saw where I think when he's been targeted, it's a 0 passer rating right now. So Joey Porter Jr. is mucho good.
He's got to get the snaps, though. He still has not. They haven't really unleashed him yet.
Yep.
40%, I feel like that's maybe like the highest he's seen so far this year. Because
let's get that up.
Yeah. We will. We'll see him. We'll see him eventually.
Yeah, we should mention the Steelers squeaked this one out, 17-10. I think they were down most of the game, came back, crazy ending. So, let's talk, though, one of the crazier endings, not because the game was close, but just because it was such a blowout. Saints-Patriots. Talk us through some of the Saints' leading scores.
Yeah, so to start us off, we have Carl Granderson, 23.8 points this week, 11.82 points per game, weeks 1 through 4. He had 5 solos, 4 assists, 1 TFL, 2 PDs, 2 QB hits, playing 65% of snaps, 92.1 overall PFF grade, 80.4 pass rush grade. So Carl Granderson, nice to see him bounce back. He kind of struggled after those first 2 weeks,
Yeah, he was a late pivot for me because Kwity Paye was out. So I was like, Carl Granderson, you're up, baby.
That's always nice.
Feel great about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Honey Badger, 18.7 points, was averaging 12.9 points per game, weeks 1 through 4. 2 solos, 1 TFL, 1 sack. I don't know that that's right. He had a pick 6.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't really do much else outside of that. So, but yeah, Honey Badger, nice to see him have his best game of the year, but it was boosted off a pick 6.
That helps.
Max Jones just made just an awful play.
If we're seeing Bailey Zappi again for the second time in back-to-back weeks, that is not good for Mac Jones.
Yeah, go Tops. Pete Warner, 13.25 points this week, was averaging just 9.2 points per game, weeks 1 through 4. 1 solo, 1 TFL, 1 sack. That was on 57% of the snaps. So Pete Warner, I mean, he gave us that big play that we were asking for.
There you go. You were juicing him. You were rubbing his shoulder, saying that he stunk last week.
I need you to do both, though, Pete. All right, just do. You stop doing the tackling.
Yeah.
All right.
Need both. He's like, sorry. You want it both tackles and big plays. My bad.
This isn't a or. This is an and.
Okay.
Paulson Adebo, he is back, so we're not seeing Isaac Yadam on here.
Man,
yeah,
that was fun.
It's a bummer. But still a fun name in his own right, Adebo.
Yeah.
Sure.
Adebo's good.
11.75 points this week. He had 4 solos, 6 assists, 1 pass defended. He played 100% of the snaps. Demario Davis, he had 11 points this week. He had 1 solo, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble.
One solo, 1 sack. I mean, Demario Davis is like...
The tackle efficiency is awful.
Through the floor. But he continues to grade well, though, 90.6.
Grades well, and he he's solid. He still gets these sacks, and he still has these TFLs and stuff. So, I mean, you're not going to get the tackles.
No, you're not. His tackle efficiency, I think, was like 3?
Yeah.
Or 4?
But he's still managing
a couple weeks ago.
He's still managing to be like a LB 3 or 4 for us. So.
Man, that's a guy I don't feel great about.
I feel like the tackle stuff should turn around a little bit right now. It's really bad.
There's just no floor with this guy. It's almost incredible how inefficient he is as a tackler.
Isn't it weird though that he's terrible, but also like Pete Warner's not?
Yeah, who's getting the tackles on this team?
I don't know. Honey Badger's not.
Is everyone on offense just running out of bounds against the Saints, and there's no tackles awarded?
So I'm not sure what's going on there. But
yeah. On the Patriots side, though, Jewell Bentley, 21.65 points, 11 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and 1 QB hit. Miles Bryant was second. Jelani Tavai was third. 8 tackles on 69. Very nice percent of snaps. Dietrich Wise was next. We wondered who was going to step up in the absence of, I can never remember his name.
Judon.
Matthew Judon. Thank you. All I could think of was Josh Uche. Dietrich Wise, though, 7.25 points is number 4, and Sean Wade, because why the hell not, on 35% of snaps was number 5. Not much to talk about on the Pats. That team sucks.
Jewell Bentley. I'm a fan.
Are you a fan?
I am a fan.
Okay.
In fact, I wish I had been a little more vocal on the pod. Someone that I think you should have been targeting in trades. Started off slow, hadn't had really good matchups, but as you see, this is what he can do. 22 points, 11 tackles, 1 TFL, 1 sack.
Okay,
The snaps have been pretty solid.
I was going to say, you've got, if you haven't checked it out yet, folks, theidpshow.com for paid supporters. We have the logs. Adam is pulling the data on linebackers, DB, DL, snaps, sacks, tackles, points per game, points per snap, all sorts of great stuff. So if you want all the data in one convenient spot, theidpshow.com, how have those snaps been looking for Mr. Bentley so far, Addy?
Okay, John, I thought you had to pull it up.
I do not. I was trying to plug it while you pulled it up.
Should have said that first.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
All right, but yeah, let's look at these snaps. So 100% week 1, 100% week 2, 100% week 3, 90% week 4, and then 78% this last week, but also it was a lopsided game.
Yeah, they may have pulled starters.
I think they probably did. It was over like in the second quarter.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, 100% anytime you can get a linebacker playing 100% of snaps,
Yes.
especially in a Belichick defense.
Yeah, and I mean, Bentley's one of these guys that just racks up tackles. And they gave him a nice little contract this offseason. I think that was kind of under the radar, but I think it was like 2 years, 18, 19 million, something in that range.
Not bad.
Yeah, I traded for him in RSO. Like after that 4th week, I traded him I sent a 5th and got Jewell Bentley.
That's nice.
And then he goes off for 22. So
there you go.
Love to see it.
Chestnut checkers, folks.
That's right.
Chestnut checkers. Hey,
couldn't get him for a 5th now. Guaranteed that.
Yeah. What did you think about JT getting the bag?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it makes sense. I mean, it's unfortunate how everything happened.
I know that it had to get so ugly.
And also it's just kind of bizarre that Zach Moss has come out of nowhere and rumbles for 160-2 yesterday.
Yeah. Yep.
And then, Anthony Richardson gets hurt, where I feel like Jonathan Taylor, a big reason why he probably got that done, he's like excited. Probably
AR is
we
looking
were.
good. Yeah.
He was looking awesome.
This is a fun team. It's a good young quarterback.
And
Thankfully,
then he gets hurt immediately.
Gardner Minshew's, capable backup, but now he's like, oh man.
Yeah, that's not what you were signing up for.
But you got $16 million a year, average, per year. So I think I said on this show that I thought that he'd be back with the Colts. Money solves a lot of issues. I think, and it's funny, Jim Irsay got called a lot of names, and he is insane, to be fair.
Yeah.
But he did say, let's get him healthy. Let's get into the season, and then we can talk extension. I just want to see him healthy. Let's get him on the field. And then what happens? JT is healthy. He's off the pup. He's on the field, and he gets paid. So it came to fruition with the Colts, just not maybe in the fashion a lot of fans would have liked. But let's move on to Eagles-Rams. Eagles leading scorer Hassan Reddick. Man, it is good to see Hassan Reddick back in the win category. 26 points. He had 2 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 15 sack yards, and 3 QB hits. He'd been averaging just 5.15 points the first 4 weeks, 68% of snaps. But Hassan Reddick got it done this week, Addy.
The first 4 weeks and 3 quarters, pretty much, because he didn't do the 2 sacks until the 4th.
Hey. Playmakers make big plays in big moments, Eddie.
Exactly, especially crunch time. That's when really those edge rushers can come alive. We saw that, I think, last week or the week before with Aiden Hutchinson, but I mean, it happens every single week.
Well, and it felt good because now all these edge rushers we were hand-wringing about have gotten themselves a sack.
Yeah.
Uchenna, Kayvon, Hassan Reddick. I don't think there's anyone I'm missing
and
that
they've had
highly drafted that has not gotten off the schneid yet.
Right, yeah, and monster games too.
Yep, 26 points, very nice for Hassan Reddick. Jalen Carter, man, I'm so excited to have this guy on the roster in the
Yeah.
main league. He is so good. 25.7 points, 4 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 12 sack yards, and 2 QB hits on 70% of snaps. Very, very interesting. Josh Sweat, 11.75. He had 3 tackles, a forced fumble, and 2 QB hits on 71% of snaps. Nicholas Morrow, 8.75. He had 5 tackles and a TFL on 100% of snaps. And then Justin Evans rounds out the group for the Eagles with 8 points.
I think Fletcher Cox was missing this game.
I think that's what it was, yeah.
So, I mean, that might explain the 70% snap
I think
share.
he's out for a little bit too, though.
Okay, well, that's
Fletcher Cox.
That's great. I mean, Jalen Carter has been nuts, especially from a pressure standpoint this year. 17% pressure rate. That's just bonkers for a rookie, especially rushing from the inside where it's much harder to create pressure. But, yeah, I mean, just passing all the tests for us immediately. Like, you know, we're 5 weeks in, and he's definitely defensive tackle 3 at worst in Dynasty. And, I mean, do you want him over Jeffrey Simmons?
Not right now. I need to see. I mean, he's passing every test so far, but I'm not going to be that quick to put him over Simmons and Big Q.
Here's the thing, though. Simmons hasn't been that great.
Yeah, he's been good though.
You know, he's been solid.
It's hard.
I mean, like up like his career yet. You know,
Yeah.
Like we're hopeful. We think that. I mean, obviously we've talked about him as like a top 2 defensive tackle this entire last 2 years, I think. But he hasn't really come through like we want him to yet.
No,
you know,
that is true.
And Jalen Carter, I mean, we're seeing these type flashes as a rookie. The pressure rate, the grades, and then just watch him. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think for me, I wonder how the snaps are going to shake out rest of season because you have a lot of very talented defensive tackles there. Mm-hmm. You've got Milton Williams, you've got Fletcher Cox, you've got Jordan Davis there as well. So we saw 70% of snaps this week. I would love to see him stay north of 60 the rest of the season. But, you know, Fletcher Cox, that shadow looms large there in Philadelphia. So I don't know how much run he's going to get minus an injury. Apparently Fletcher Cox had an epidural to relieve some back pain issues. So if it's a back issue, it kind of makes me wonder what his availability is going to be like the rest of the season. Because you don't get healthier playing in the NFL. You just get less hurt week to week. You feel less bad about yourself. So Rams, though, familiar name atop the Rams scores. It is Ernest Jones, 25.25 points, averaging 15.7 weeks 1 through 4, 15 tackles, 3 TFLs, 100% of snaps, top 12 LB. We love to see it. The breakout continues for Ernest Jones. Jordan Fuller, 16.5 points. Evan and Jake called him out on the preview pod as well. He had 12 tackles and a PD on 100% of snaps. Akello Witherspoon got himself a pick, 15 points. Zach Van Valkenburg, 22% of snaps, 14.05 points. He had a sack, QB hit, a TFL, and then Darian Kendrick, DB, 12.5. No Aaron Donald in this one, but Ernest Jones, man. Let's just take a moment to appreciate when it all comes together for a player, and they absolutely deliver for the IDP managers who have been patient, who have waited. Got Bobby Wagner out of town. You knew this was going to be Ernest Jones' team. He's been phenomenal. We should mention on the Rams as well, I believe Nakobe Dean is expected back here soon.
Yeah, I saw where he's working out.
So go ahead. If he's out there on your waivers, maybe in shallower leagues, go ahead and scoop him up, stash him on your bench, because what do you think? Is he the LB1 there in Philadelphia once he's back up to full health?
I think so.
I think so, too.
They're going to give him a shot at least, right? I
think so.
He's going to have to screw up to have someone else come in there. So, yeah, I mean, if he's out there, you got to go at him, because we've seen that linebacker role be very profitable for IDP. We've already seen it. Zach Cunningham's been a bit of a disappointment.
Nicholas Morrow's been...
He had a huge monster week.
Yeah,
but he's been solid.
He's been okay. I think the question is, who's the LB2 beside Nakobe, if Nakobe is LB1? Is it Morrow or is it Cunningham? Because it was Cunningham to start the season, But it seems like Morrow is the one that's been gaining traction here recently.
Yeah, I would think Morrow.
What a weird season for Morrow.
I know.
You're the assumed LB2. You get cut. You come back to the practice squad. You're thrust back into action.
He's had a weird career.
Very weird career.
Yeah.
And then last season, played every single snap for the Bears.
Yep.
And now he's had this really just odd, wandering journey with the Eagles this season. So got to stay on your toes, people. Next up, Bengals versus Cardinals. Bengals finally come back to life. Joe Burrow looked good. They got the 34-20 win over Arizona. Trey Hendrickson. Boy, he has been playing well, Addy. 34.5 points. He's averaging 14.28 weeks 1 through 4. He had 4 tackles, a TFL, 2.5 sacks, 10 sack yards, a forced fumble, a PD, 3 QB hits on 70% of snaps. Addy, can you read that next name for us on the dock, the number 2 scorer for the Cincinnati Bengals, a player very close to your heart? Who was it?
Mr. Jermaine Pratt.
Tell me about what he did.
25 points this week, was averaging 12.5 weeks 1 through 4, but he racked up 10 tackles, 2 TFLs, 1 interception, and 1 PD, 53 snaps, which was 93% of the snaps, 74.7 overall PFF grade, 74.2 coverage grade.
And why don't you go ahead and read number 3, another player very close to your heart as well.
Mr. Cam Taylor-Britt, 22.35 points, was only averaging 8 points per game weeks 1 through 4. But, he came through for us this week. 1 tackle, 1 pick 6. Was that? Yeah.
Yeah, 1 pick 6.
2 PDs and 11 return yards, 98% of the snaps, 59.0 overall PFF grade, 62.9 coverage grade. Mom's Meatloaf here.
Yeah, it's just in the dock now as Mom's Meatloaf, which is phenomenal.
That's Logan Wilson for the lames.
For the uninitiated.
12.75 points this week. Was averaging 13.75 weeks 1 through 4. 9 tackles, 1 PD, 100% of snaps, 50.0 PFF grade, 54.0 coverage grade. Jordan Battle, 12.5 points. He had 2 tackles, 1 PD, and 1 QB hit. He played just 39% of the snaps, but nice to see him out there.
It was, and he graded very well, 87.8 and 83.9 in coverage. So you got to wonder, I haven't checked to see.
I think maybe Nick Scott got hurt.
Okay, and they only have Nick Scott, I think, on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So it could very well be, who's the guy that's had the breakout this year?
Dax.
Yeah, Dax Hill and Jordan Battle.
It's a fun.
That's a very
fun name combo.
Fun name combo. We've talked about it. Battle Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a Civil War type of thing going on here. On the Cardinals side, though, Kayvon Wallace, 24.2, been averaging 10.62 the first 4 weeks, 100% of snaps, 10 tackles, a TFL, a pick, a PD. Dante Stills, defensive tackle, 20.3 points. Kevin Strong, defensive tackle. So good on you, Cardinals defensive tackles, for getting some sacks in there. Both those guys, Kevin Strong and Dante Stills, had sacks. Kaiser White, 14.25. He bounced back after a quiet week 4. He's been averaging 16.14. He had 11 tackles and a TFL, 100% of snaps. And then Marco Wilson, 12.25. So I think the headlines for me out of this game, Addy, are just Kaiser White. Continue to fire him up with confidence. Dude is probably an LB1 rest of season, assuming health.
Yeah, Kaiser White's awesome. Trey Hendrickson, I mean, he's been amazing this year. Also, the snaps been really good for Trey Hendrickson. He's playing 68% of the snaps. I think there was a time where he was kind of a lot more one-dimensional. Just basically could only put him out there on pass rush snaps. But now he's out there for the majority of the reps, it looks like. So love to see that. And then the production's just been great. So hopefully that keeps up. All the metrics say that it should keep up. He's looking like one of the more elite pass rushers in the league. And he's in a good situation now.
And no gloves.
No gloves.
My man is just barehanded.
Love that.
Just like Paul Bunyan out there doing work with those hands.
He's a big boy.
Big boy. Got a weird-looking face.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I don't look at him and I'm like, you're probably one of the premier edge rushers. Because then you go look at Myles Garrett and it's like, you guys play the same, not just the same sport, but the same position, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, good on you, Trey Hendrickson. Gym rat. First guy in, last guy out type of thing. Jets get the 31-21 victory over the Broncos. And let's kick things off with the Jets and just take a bow. Quincy Williams, your LB1, Spillane maybe after 2 interceptions has entered the conversation, but I don't think he's dethroned Quincy at this point. Quincy is your LB1 on the season, 33.25 points, was averaging 17.94 the first 4 weeks, 100% of snaps, 9 tackles, a TFL, 2 sacks, 10 sack yards, a forced fumble, and 3 QB hits on 100% of snaps. But then right there behind him, CJ Mosley, 22.75, 14.31 average the first 4 weeks, 13 tackles, 2 TFLs, and a PD on 100% of snaps. So let's just pause there. The Jets linebackers are freaking awesome.
So good, dude. Yeah, I mean, 21.8 points per game this year for Quincy Williams. That is number one. Like we mentioned, yeah, he's LB1 right now. 13.6% tackle rate. But he's just sprinkling in these big plays. He's in the backfield, like on the reg. You see it like multiple times a game.
Talk about guys bringing the juice.
He's it, man.
He's it.
And that's we talk about that a lot. But that's so much of what defense is, right? It's just effort.
Mm-hmm.
And Quincy is one of these guys that brings the effort, and it's always on display.
Who are the guys that we've talked about bringing the juice, bringing the intensity, being the leaders on the field? It's 2 of the top 5 LBs, 3 LBs. It's Zaire Franklin and Quincy Williams.
Yeah.
This stuff matters. It's hard to quantify, and sometimes you don't know it until after the fact. But Quincy has that eye of the tiger this season, man.
Yeah.
It's been really cool to see. And then CJ Mosley has just been steady Eddie right there behind him. So that's been fun as well. I was going to try to pull it up here.
Really sucks that Aaron Rodgers is hurt.
I know, man. Do you think he has any shot of coming back and playing in season?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so either.
I mean, I just feel like that's not a very smart move.
For a 40-year-old to do with an Achilles?
Let's just give it a go next season, bro.
Yeah, just chill out. The team will be right there waiting for you.
Probably
when you
not.
get back.
You're probably not winning a Super Bowl with a hobbled Aaron Rodgers. Let's just recover and work towards next year.
That's right. You're under contract. You restructured your deal, so you're going to be there. Yeah, Quincy is number 1. Zaire Franklin is number 2. Roquan Smith is number 3. Number 4, Eddie, Fred Warner. How about that? Love to see it. And then Terrell Bernard, as we all expected, didn't even think he was going to win the job. Tyrell Dodson was the guy, but yeah, he's LB5. And then Ernest Jones, LB6, and then Patrick Queen, LB7. So a lot of fun names in that top 7. But let's talk about the rest of the team, because as much as I was excited about my Carl Granderson start, I rolled out Azeez Ojulari. Little did I know I should have picked the other New York edge rusher on my bench. Jermaine Johnson went for 18.35, 3 tackles, a TFL, a sack, a forced fumble, and a QB hit on 62% of snaps. But Addie, the next guy on the list is someone I know you are very fond of, who was next up playing. There's the other Bryce. There's 2 Bryces back to back. Let's talk about the number 5 Bryce first, playing 44% of the snaps.
Bryce Huff, 15.1 points this week, was only averaging 5 points per game, weeks 1 through 4. But remember, this guy, it's hard for him to crack the rotation. It's very deep there.
They've been making Will McDonald inactive.
Yeah,
I mean that's how deep this edge. Carl Lawson, I think, was inactive this week.
Carl Lawson, yeah. McDonald's out there, but he's getting like 15% of snaps right now. And then, Bryce Huff, 44% of snaps, but he racked up 2 tackles, 1 TFL, 1 sack, 6 sack yards, and 2 QB hits. If you remember the week before, he was really responsible for that safety that they got. Bryce Huff, let me pull up these pressure numbers because they are out of control.
Yeah, and then Bryce Hall was the number 4 guy, so 2 Bryces back-to-back, 17.9 points. DB for the Jets, 98% of snaps, 4 tackles, a fumble recovery, a defensive touchdown, 93 return yards.
29.9% pressure rate right now for
goodness.
Bryce Huff, which is just absurd. What were you talking about with Macri that the average pressure rate is for edge defenders?
I swear I think it's like under 10.
Yeah, around 10. Around 10.
7 to 8. Like if you're pushing 10, that's above average.
So that's just absurd. Like we've talked about this before, but Bryce Huff is definitely one of these guys that we are super excited to see where he lands this offseason. He's averaging 5.2 pressures per game right now. Just crazy.
That's insane.
That's like I mentioned earlier. It was
5.2 per game, you said?
Yeah, someone was
wow.
Who was it that I mentioned earlier at the start of the show that was averaging 5.8? But he's right. He's top 10.
Was it Aiden Hutchinson?
He's averaging 7 a game.
Oh my God, Aiden Hutchinson, you're nuts.
Anyway, 5.2 is crazy for Bryce Huff.
So the average pressure rate for edge defenders in 2022, minimum of 100 snaps, was 7.2%.
Wow.
So he's what, 4 times the average?
Yep.
That's nuts. This guy, you said I think he's set to be a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like he's going to be one of those kind of low key. The Twitter geeks are going to be going nuts when Bryce Huff gets himself like a nice little deal.
Yes. To
go be someone's like edge 2, hopefully.
Yeah.
I want to see him get that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, this is one of those hipster type guys, right?
This is we will be in on Bryce Huff before it is cool.
100%.
Speaking of being in on someone before they were cool, Nick Bonito, we pulled the short. That if you were going to throw a dart on this edge rushing group for the Broncos with Randy Gregory out the door, Addy mentioned that he would throw a dart on Nick Bonito, and if you did that, you were richly rewarded. 23.5 points for Nick Bonito, 2 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 10 sack yards, 2 QB hits, 74% of snaps, 62.5 PFF grade. So let's just pause there, Addy. Nick Bonito.
Yeah, hell yeah. 74% of snaps. I mean, that was his most of his career, I'm pretty sure.
Rising in the ranks with this kind of opportunity.
Yeah, he's been great, dude. I mean, the pressure numbers are also really good for him. 14.3% pressure rate, 18.3 points per game. Just heating up, dude. 1.25 points week 1, 18.3 week 2, 15 in week 3, 33.5 week 4, and then 23.5 in week 5.
17 points per game average the first 4 weeks. That'll probably go up to about 20 points per game.
Yeah, and I mean the tackles are really nice too. Well, no, I'm looking at Jonathan Cooper. Benito's averaging 3 tackles a game, but still 5.5 sacks on the year, 15 tackles. I mean,
and if the playing time's going to be like this, I'm very interested.
And I think it will because remember Randy Gregory, he's now with the San Francisco 49ers. So
Baron Browning is practicing or working out. I think he's due back here pretty soon. Now, what is interesting is that the rumblings are that with this team, I believe 1-4 after this loss, that a potential teardown is potentially coming for the Denver Broncos, and that the only untouchable asset is Pat Surtain. So we could see, just be aware that there might be some changes coming for the Denver Broncos as Sean Payton tears this team down and remakes it in his image. So
I don't think Benito's going to be the guy they ship off.
No, I think Benito's playing time could actually go up depending on who gets shipped out the door from that team.
Feels like him and Baron Browning once he gets back to full health. That'll be who it is. Zach Allen was great. We'll get to him, I guess.
Yeah, Zach Allen was number 2, 22.95 points. Been quiet, less than 10 points per game average, but 5 tackles, a TFL, a sack, 12 sack yards, a forced fumble, and 2 QB hits on 86% of snaps. And then, Pat Surtain was number 3 there. He had 5 tackles, a pick, and a PD. Elijah Garcia, defensive tackle, was 4. Damari Mathis, DB, was 5. So, this Broncos team is going to be interesting to pay attention to. Notice we didn't say Alex Singleton. We did not say Josie Jewell. Singleton was the leading snap getter, which was interesting. I think he was the green dot as well.
Jewell was coming back from injury, so he missed like the last 2 or 3 weeks with some type of issue. And if it does start, they start trading guys away, I mean, maybe we get to see more of Drew Sanders.
I was going to say, I think the big beneficiary of a fire sale would be Drew Sanders.
Yeah.
Because why would you not want to see what you have in that guy?
Yeah, and I mean, someone should come and get those linebackers.
Seriously, yes.
I mean, those guys would be
especially
fine.
Jewell. I think Jewell's on a last year of his deal or maybe a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So come get this guy.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So Chiefs, Vikings, Addy. Let's talk about the Chiefs side of things. First, they got the 27-20 victory over your Vikes. Justin Jefferson potentially out, it sounds like. That team is on the other side of the 7-point or less games this season.
Because they're in these games, and the schedule's been brutal to start.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's those, that is just, I don't really attribute a lot to luck in professional football, but winning those 1-score games often comes down to the bounce of a ball, a ball getting tipped. I mean, just a play here or there can swing those close games.
We're having so many turnovers this year. It wasn't happening last year, but that's how that stuff goes.
Yeah.
I mean, We kind of knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, that tends to regress. If you overperform, then yeah, you can come crashing back down to earth like we've seen the Vikings do. But the Chiefs, IDPs, lot of big names here performing well in this game. Trent McDuffie, 25.5 points, 6 tackles, 3 PDs, 3 QB hits, 99% of snaps. Chris Jones got himself another sack, 2 tackles, a TFL, 1 PD, 3 QB hits, 78% of snaps. L'Jarius Sneed, so both McDuffie and Sneed cracked the top 5, 20 points with 8 tackles, 2 PDs, and a QB hit on 100% of snaps. Johnny called this out in his best streaming matchups. He said this was the best matchup of the week. You're going to fire both these guys up because they get the Vikings, and here we are with both of these guys scoring north of 20 points. Number 4 on the list, though, Addy, who was it for the Kansas City Chiefs? Another player. I think you actually planted a flag on this guy.
Yeah, Justin Reed, 17.5 points this week. He was only averaging 8.5 points per game weeks 1 through 4, but he had 8 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 PD, played 100% of the snaps. The sweet spot usage this year has been really good for Mr. Reed. He is he's averaging 67% of his snaps out of the sweet spot.
67?
67.
That's nice.
73% for Trent McDuffie. So Trent McDuffie is manning that slot. Only 8.4% for L'Jarius Sneed this year. So he's definitely moved
He's a wide corner.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we've seen it now.
Just to give you a full picture, Brian Cook is playing 42% out of the sweet spot. So that is the usage for your main corners.
But
and
Justin Reed is leading the group there for sweet spot. It sounds
68%. McDuffie has 73.
But that's mainly slot.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, the Justin Reed usage is as good as it's been in a while.
There you go. And what's his? Do you have his snaps there? Like his snap percentages? I'm just curious if he is the leading safety for the Chiefs as far as snaps go.
I think he is. I mean, I don't think he's averaging 62 snaps a game right now. I don't have actually the percentages in there.
So that's probably, I would say he's probably number 1 then.
It's coming for DBs.
That's right. DBs are lower on the pecking order.
Right.
And then Mike Dana was number 5. Let's look at the Vikes, though. Marcus Davenport.
Mike Dana's been pretty damn good.
He really has. We should give him more respect. 12.29 points the first 4 weeks. 79% of snaps. He got 16 and a quarter in week 5. Marcus Davenport, though, 24.4 points. 4 tackles, 1 TFL, 1 sack, 8 sack yards, and 3 QB hits, 79% of snaps. Jordan Hicks, 14.5, averaging about 11 the first 4 weeks. He had 10 tackles and a PD on 100% of snaps. Bynum continues to be very solid, 13.5, averaging 14.69, 8 tackles and a PD. Harrison Smith came back down to earth a little bit. Still 13 points, 10 tackles, and a QB hit. And then Daniil Hunter, 12.7 points, averaging 23.29, 2 tackles, a TFL, a sack, 7 sack yards, and a QB hit on 77% of snaps. So there you go. Any takeaways? What's going on with Ivan Pace? Where is Ivan Pace?
He's not really getting the stats we need. I think he's like in that 60 to 70% range right now. I can tell you exactly.
So what you're saying is Brian Asamoah season, the hope is still alive for that.
I don't think so.
Damn it.
I don't think so.
I'm going to keep trying every week.
He's not getting hardly any snaps. I think he got 0 snaps this past week.
Super cool.
Special teams.
All right.
Pace, he is averaging 65% of snaps right now on the season. 68% week 1, 79% week 2, 62 in week 3, 51 in week 4. And what did you say he had this past week?
Ivan Pace?
Yeah.
He's not even in the top 5.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
I think around the same. He's in that 60 to 70 range. But, yeah, he's not really done what we needed him to do. We thought that he'd get in there and just tear it up if he was only getting this 60 to 70% snap share. But it just hasn't been that yet. So I don't think you're dropping this guy because I do think that if something happens to Jordan Hicks, he could just erupt. It may just be like
I don't know that I'm starting Ivan Pace, though.
Yeah. It may just be like a scheme thing where it's like, only that main linebacker is the one that's going to be productive.
Friggin' Jordan Hicks, man. Here we are again.
I know.
The year of our Lord, 2023, and Jordan Hicks is still relevant.
Still doing it. He's got 2 little fun pieces behind him. And no, it's just Jordan Hicks. On this defense, it's terrible.
I know. Come on, guys. Come on.
We may start.
Don't butt that.
We may start seeing that now.
That would be good.
They're 1-4, right?
Yeah.
So
what you're hearing, folks, is Brian Asamoah. Hope is still alive.
There's a little bit of hope.
It's a little beep on the monitor.
Yep.
But it's small.
Yep.
It's a little bit. Let's talk about
Week 16, Week 17.
That's going to say maybe when they're completely out of it and they've sold everybody else.
It's coming.
Let's talk about Sunday Night Football. What a beatdown. Have we checked on Johnny to see if he's doing he knows. I think he called that this game was going to be a massacre. So
we saw that comment.
Yeah, he's a realist. He understands. 49ers get the 42-10 victory. I mean, who's stopping the Niners right now?
Yeah,
I don't
know, man.
That's the best team in football, and I don't know that it's particularly close.
They're great. They're great. I mean, the Eagles can bring it any week too.
But God, that Niners team at every level is so scary.
If Brock Purdy's doing what he's doing.
He hasn't lost in the regular season.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and he looks great. I saw someone, I can't remember who it was, maybe Warren Sharp or one of the analysts on Twitter was just saying that he's like Jimmy G if Jimmy G didn't fall to pieces after his first read was covered. And then he said, Brock's got that dog. Yeah. Jimmy G does not have that dog.
And he's surrounded by dogs, dude.
Oh, my God.
I mean, just the talent. I mean, Debo, CMC, Kittle, Ayuk. That is just absurd.
You know, them versus the Dolphins would be a really fun game.
That would be a lot of
different
fun.
styles, right?
Yeah.
But kind of similar as far as like get your playmakers in space and let them go get some yak.
I mean, obviously similar run games,
Yep.
And all that, pre-snap
McDaniel coming from the Shanahan tree. That'd be a fun Super Bowl.
That would be a lot of fun.
That would be fireworks, bro.
Hopefully Jalen Phillips is healthy at that point.
God, I will mail him my oblique. You can have it, even if you only get a few strands out of it. I will give it up for you, Jalen.
I know it's so unfortunate just because we're watching Van Ginkel just tear it up.
You're
and
like,
that's supposed to be Phillips.
That should have been Jalen.
Should have been Phillips.
It's that damn shirt.
I know. I got to get me a Van Ginkel shirt.
You gotta burn that shirt.
Did I ever tell you what my idea for Macri to do for the big nickel? The cover.
Oh
art?
yes. I think we talked about them.
Just all the long-haired boys.
All the long-haired boys.
Singleton, Van Ginkel. Who else are we missing?
Anzalone. God, that's a really just you don't feel great about those guys, but they look great. Cole Holcomb, if you want like a little mullet, know.
Yeah.
Gardek.
You
got to get Gardek in there.
There.
Got to be the juice guy. So lots of great options.
We've said it a lot though. The long hair, it works.
Yeah, the lettuce gives you superpowers apparently. So and then I was gonna say Cam Curl got hurt, but that was Derek Forrest. So. Yeah, just a lot of bad juju from that shirt. So Cowboys side of things, J-Ron Curse, 18.2 points, 83% of snaps, 4 tackles, 2 TFLs, a sack, and a QB hit. Jordan Lewis, DB, was next on the list. Leighton Vanderneck, speaking of neck, could be going on the IR with a neck injury. You can't make this stuff up, folks. But he had 12.5 points on 10 tackles, 1 TFL. I guess Damone Clark is the guy you want there?
Maybe. There's also like Marquise Bell character.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, I would think Damone Clark will be the first in line, and then we'll monitor that second.
We'll check it out from there.
Yep.
Jonathan Hankins, defensive tackle, 56% of snaps was next, and then Stephon Gilmore, 11 points. This is one of those games I don't take a lot away from this because it was such a washout.
Right.
That I'm not really stacking a whole lot into the IDP performance in this game. On the 49ers side, though, Fred Warner, take a bow. 34.3 points. He's been averaging about 14.7 the first 4 weeks, 8 tackles, a TFL, a pick, a sack, a forced fumble, a PD, a QB hit, 73% of snaps because they probably pulled him and Dre Greenlaw both. You can see.
Just 36 snaps.
Yeah, they played 73% of snaps both, so they yanked both those guys at the same time. Dre was next, 23.35. Just 2 studs, 11.19 average the first 4 weeks, 5 tackles, 2 TFLs, a sack, 1 PD, 1 QB hit. Nick Bosa got in there as well, 17.8, half a sack, 4 QB hits, a TFL, 4 tackles, 69% of snaps. Oren Burks, that shows you how crazy this game was for the 49ers, that Oren Burks, who got 51% of snaps coming in relief of Greenlaw and Warner, was 4th on the list with 15.85 points. He got 5 tackles, a pick, a PD. And then Kevin Givens, why not? Defensive tackle on 45% of snaps was number 5 on the list. So these 49ers LBs continue to be fantastic. We mentioned Fred Warner, I think, is number 4 leading linebacker in the league right now for IDP. So
yeah, he's starting off really hot.
Yeah, it's awesome to see.
Speaking of starting off hot, Drake Jackson
Yeah.
He has definitely come back to earth.
Yes, he has.
Even the snaps are starting to come down.
Okay,
So
I was wondering how that was looking.
Hopefully he's not hurt, but Randy Gregory's coming in.
Yeah, that's not great for Drake Jackson.
Not great.
Just more competition.
Yeah, but remember 32.75 points week 1, and then 6, 0, 0.75, and 0.
Will he score the rest of the season how much he scored in week 1?
We'll find out.
Like combined.
Yeah.
I think that's a
gonna be
good
close.
I think that's a good bet right now.
It's going to be close.
To see if that actually happens. So let's wrap up here with the Monday night game that just concluded. And we're going to look at, Packers and Raiders. I believe Raiders got the dub. So congrats to Las Vegas. Hopeful to get out to a game in Vegas at some point. That stadium just looks cool.
Go see that Sphere.
Yeah, I do want to see it. I heard the concerts in the Sphere are insane.
Oh, I'm sure.
Can you imagine if like the venues like all around you? If you were like on any sort of drugs at that place, I think you'd have a heart attack because it would
definitely be on a lot of drugs.
Yes,
in that place.
You'd feel like you were on drugs. I feel like. So let's look at the Packers and Raiders here. And, we got Max Crosby leading the way with 25.45 points. He had 5 tackles and a sack. Max Crosby is awesome. This is not a surprise. Marcus Peters, though, was back in there as well. We'll talk about him in just a second. But the leading scorer for the whole game was Big Bob. Robert Spillane, 30.55 points.
Wow.
Just 9 tackles, but 2 interceptions. So, Great game for Big Bob, and I would say a lot of managers probably were starting him because he's been pretty solid so far this season.
Yeah, man, he's been great. What's he averaging right now? He's averaging 11.9 points per game on the season. This will definitely bump that up to probably 16, 17. But yeah, 12.3% tackle rate right now. You just love the snaps. I mean, he's basically not coming off the field. He's the green dot.
That's the thing. It's like it's not always pretty with Big Bob Spillane because he's not a great player, but he's on the field. I mean, close to 100% of the snaps this season.
Yep, averaging 8 1/4 tackles per game. I mean, that's great. That's perfect for like a linebacker 3-4. It's where you drafted him. You know. And yeah, I think that we're gonna see him just continue to get better. I mean, I didn't really expect him to be this good, honestly. So very encouraging signs to start for Robert Spillane.
There you go. Rudy Ford was next with 20.15 points. He had a pick, 9 tackles as well. Preston Smith, I think.
What did Rudy Ford have?
He had a pick and 9 tackles.
Nice. He's
Yes.
been really good. I picked him up on waivers last week.
Yeah, he started off the season quiet, 3.5, 7.75, but then 16 1/4, 21.6, and 20.15. So he does have 2 interceptions, 1 each of the past 2 weeks. So keep that in mind.
Where Savage got hurt in this game as well.
He did. Quay Walker got hurt as well, we should mention. So Isaiah McDuffie, potentially. Devondre Campbell was already out.
I think Campbell's coming back maybe next
thank
week,
God.
so that's good.
My 1,000 best ball teams need it.
McDuffie's been pretty good, though. What did he do tonight?
Yeah, let's see where he ended up. He was, 14 points.
Yeah.
13.5 points, 10 tackles.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
That's about what we expect.
So, I mean, he'll do probably the same thing next week. I mean, just
Yeah.
plug him in.
The linebackers were actually pretty solid in this game because Divine Diablo went for 13.5.
There
He
you
had
go.
10 tackles. Kingsley Enagbare had a nice game as well. Preston Smith had, looks like 3 tackles and a sack. Enagbare had a sack. Kenny Clark had a sack. Rashawn Gary had a sack.
There we go.
So the
Did Van Ness do anything? I saw him
don't.
get a little bit of love.
Yeah,
Not
let's see.
something.
I don't think he's he had just 2 total tackles, so 2 points. But we should mention, Quay Walker had 4 tackles before he exited. Keyshawn Nixon had 6 tackles. So if you're in, kick and punt return required leagues, he continues to be an interesting option, especially if you're playing CB required. But then, Marcus Peters, 10 points. Trayvon Merrick, 12 points. Rasul Douglas had 13. But the big news out of this, we're going to have to monitor what happened with Quay Walker. And then, the Green Bay defensive line in a good matchup, which the Las Vegas Raiders are, profited because each of these guys managed to land a sack. Smith, Enagbare, Clark, and Gary all teed off on the handsome one, Jimmy G. So, but Max Crosby doing his damage as well, and Big Bob Spillane leading the way. So Raiders get the dub. 2 IDPs for the Raiders lead the pack. So, not a lot to take away from that one. It's, I think, pretty chalky in terms of what we expected.
Yeah, I don't think Nate Hobbs was available for this one
I think
either.
he was out, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tyree Wilson, he's improving a little bit every single week. I think that everyone's noticed he looks a little raw and a little slow. I think that's to be expected. He is recovering. He is trying to transition to life in the NFL.
Thrust into the limelight because of Chandler Jones.
Exactly. I don't think anyone planned on him having to play these types of snaps, this early. But I think we're going to continue to see improvement from Tyree. Again, I'm not really concerned about him for Dynasty.
Yep. Should be fine. Just a little earlier than we expected.
Yep.
So, all right, Addy, what are some big things? Let's kind of recap here. I think for me, it's a lot of injury type of replacements. I think waivers this week are going to be pretty hot and heavy on the linebacker side of things, especially with the Bills, with Matt Milano going out. That's going to be interesting. Nakobe Dean, what happens there with the Eagles if he comes back? Baron Browning, how does that affect the Denver edge rushing group? What about Randy Gregory going to the 49ers?
A lot of uncertainty.
I know. Here we are going into week 6, and a lot of questions still need to be answered. So pay attention. Lock in on this show. We're going to keep you ahead of the curve with what's going on. We should mention, speaking of this show, that we've got the week 6 preview. That'll be Joey joining Evan for that one. And then I will be on my way to Canada, as I mentioned, on Sunday. So it will be Evan and Tripp on Monday recapping week 6. And then we will be back for a little double feature. We will preview week number 7, and then recap week number 7 as well. Shout out to Evan for holding us down here with the preview and the recap this week. So look forward to those episodes. We love getting the football guys involved. We got Joey, we got Tripp. They are going to bring it. You do not want to miss those recaps. But theidpshow.com. Like we always mention, check out the YouTube as well. youtube.com/@theidpshow. The rankings episodes over there with Jace every week are phenomenal. Addie's got Nate Markham, your brother, coming in this week for the ranking show.
Love you, bro.
So check it out. Should be a lot of fun. I really enjoy those every week. We got Johnny streaming cornerbacks, article, and podcast. Leezy's back on the YouTubes with Banged Up. So that's invaluable information. Every time I listen to Lee's podcast, I'm always shocked by how many guys are out that I'd had no idea about had I not listened to that podcast.
Or watched.
Yes, check it out. He's a stream boy. Yeah, it's Jinx.
#stream boy.
He's a very good-looking stream boy. So check out Dr.
He's got
Lee's.
the LED lights. I mean,
Yes.
he's official.
He's official. He's got the nice microphone, the nice camera. He's a good-looking dude. So check it out on the YouTubes as well.
Speaking of good-looking dudes, one little note I want to touch on. Did you see Blake Cashman?
No, is he hot?
He's very hot.
Well, shit, that's why he's playing all those
Very
snaps.
nice jawline.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
We've
like
cracked
really
this.
nice.
Yeah.
So
The Alabama connection for D'Amico Ryans gets Henry To'oTo'o the number 1 spot, but he's like, that Blake Cashman.
he's got one hell of a jawline.
Got to sell some programs.
Yes, sir.
Got to sell some tickets. Put him up on the
sir.
banner. So that's good. It's good to have handsome people in the NFL.
So we'll see. I mean, maybe he has a Matt Milano trajectory, just looks wise.
Could be. Milano's very handsome.
Hey, hot people go further.
That's
than
true.
Ugly,
Long hair go far.
Sure.
Handsome go far.
Yep.
And we go far, Eddie.
Yes, right.
Just because we're grinders.
To the moon.
We're gym rats. But check us out, theidpshow.com. Like we mentioned, Evan is back with Joey to preview week 6, and then Evan and Tripp will recap it. So we'll see you guys next Thursday. But until then, enjoy the football. Be good to each other, and we'll see y'all soon.
It's the IDP show. Now you know